Hi everyone, thank you for coming to this professional development today. Today's professional development will be focusing on the 8 Ways framework and giving you some strategies to use to implement into your classroom if you like the ideas that are provided. So let's get started. The 8 Ways framework is a great, inclusive and diverse framework to implement into your classroom. It can be implemented into all learning areas as it allows the learning to be engaging and authentic. The framework is comprised of 8 pedagogies that interrelate. The framework views teaching as being primarily holistic, non-linear, hands-on, visual and social. The 8 interrelated pedagogies include story sharing, deconstruct, reconstruct, non-linear, land links, community links, non-verbal, learning maps, and symbols and images. The 8 Ways framework is an excellent resource to refer to when planning for your classroom. When used, it significantly improves the learning environment and engages the students in numerous ways. The 8 Ways framework strays away from Western pedagogy as it follows a non-linear approach. When the 8 Ways framework is implemented, students often go back to prior knowledge. This allows students to develop a deeper understanding of a topic. A vital part about teaching and learning is giving students time to reflect on their own learning, focusing on what and how they learn a topic. The 8 Ways framework embraces this importance and allows for contextualized learning, allowing students to understand how important education is and how it relates to their personal lives. The framework emphasizes the importance of mapping out the learning tasks and topics so that students are aware of where the task is going, what to expect, and what is expected by the teacher. Detachment, boredom, and separation in schools most commonly peaks for students in the middle years. By implementing the 8 Ways framework, this is often avoided as the learning is made to be engaging and authentic, allowing the students have the want to learn. A possible weakness of the 8 Ways framework is that it is often seen as completely detached from Western pedagogy and is found to be too different to introduce new ideas within a mainstream classroom. It is vital that teachers start seeing the connection between the two pedagogies. Story sharing is a great pedagogy to implement in the English area of the curriculum as students can improve their language skills by being involved in story sharing. The story sharing pedagogy is an amazing tool to use in the classroom as it engages the students and gives non-Indigenous students an insight into how Indigenous people share their knowledge and learn about the world. Story sharing is a central pedagogy of the 8 Ways framework. It is a vital part of the framework as it informs the students of the ways Indigenous people keep up to date with current issues in an oral manner. The Indigenous people also use story sharing as a way to manage their dynamic and long-lasting connection to their culture. Yarning is a way that Indigenous people share knowledge and experiences and how elders teach young children about their world. It is important that students are able to be involved in a yarning circle as they are able to have a say when talking about a topic or a problem. A yarning circle can be implemented into the languages area of the curriculum. As students improve their language when talking in a social environment, students can learn about different languages that other students may speak at home, as well as discussing each other's likes and dislikes. This is linked to the language strand of English. When implementing the story sharing pedagogy, students are encouraged to share their own stories, knowledge and experiences. In a yarning circle, students are included and given a voice to speak their mind with as little guidance as possible. A teacher might pose a question to start a discussion amongst the children. Other than that, the students communicate amongst themselves. Inclusive education allows for clear roles and responsibilities of students and teachers to be established, and also employs the importance of reflection on learning. When the storytelling pedagogy is implemented and a yarning circle is held, this is a great time for students to reflect on their learning and voice any problems they may have. Storytelling is a great opportunity for students to think about things more in depth than they usually would. Vygotsky had a very strong argument that when interacting with others, they will gain the ability to think more in depth. Non-verbal or hands-on experiences are vital to engaging education. By allowing students to have time to themselves within practical experiences, students will have the ability to construct their own knowledge and learning. Psychological constructivism focuses on the individual and how they construct their own knowledge. Piaget, a well-known psychological constructivist, posed that a student does need social interaction, but it is also vital that students have independent time where they can construct their own learning in the learning environment. The nonverbal pedagogy embraces this approach as it states the importance of independent work, allowing them to have time to be individually involved in practical learning experiences. The nonverbal pedagogy can be well implemented into the literacy curriculum as they can be involved in independent literacy activities. Symbols and images can be used in the language area of the curriculum, as sound flashcards can be used to understand how two or more letters can create a sound. There are various phonemic programs that are available and will link well with this. Using symbols and images that link with school rules is another great way to encourage students to behave, as it gives a rule a whole other meaning. The early years is a vital period of a child's cognitive, social, and language development. The social engagement with peers can greatly enhance students' language skills, particularly in the early years. In the early years, the acquisition of various language skills will have positive implications for their future learning and later life. This pedagogy embraces this as it places the importance on the development of language skills. By implementing the symbols and images pedagogy in your classroom alongside group work or various language programs, students can significantly enhance their learning again, more than they already may be. Some activity ideas relating to 3 of the 8 pedagogies of the 8 Ways framework include nonverbal. Children can make a word or name necklace relating to various spelling words or learning to spell their own name. They can create a name placemat. They can use paddle pop sticks and pegs to spell words. They can use rhyming word match activities. Symbols and images. Children can create symbols for rules. They can match words with pictures, fish for letters. To form a word, they can look at a picture on the board and then they fish for letters to form that word. Sight word practice, Lego race around, very similar to fish for letters, where a picture will go up on the board and the students will find Lego pieces with those letters to spell the word, and various phonemic programs such as LIPS. And for storytelling, a yarning circle can be held where students share stories of their families. They can voice any problems that they have with any topics. Think, pair, share. They can draw a picture of what happened on the weekend, so a particular event, and then they can elaborate on that to the group. They can create a family tree and then share it to the group, and they can also fill out why charts. These activities can be adapted to suit all learning areas. So they're not only for early years or upper years or middle years, they can be adapted and extended to suit any year level. An example of a lesson phase can include the introduction, including storytelling. A possible topic could be family, where the students discuss their family life, and then they can have a discussion about the content of the lesson that they're about to be involved in, so they can do this with a learning map. The middle of the lesson can include paint, stick and clothespin activity for a non-verbal activity, so they can spell family words, linking it to the beginning of the lesson. They can also create a placemat for a chosen family member where they'll use their spelling skills to spell these words. This is also a non-verbal spelling activity. To conclude the lesson, the students can be involved in a match words activity where they match pictures of a possible family member to the word, and they can finally conclude the lesson by completing a why chart where they fill in what the lesson looked like, it sounded like, and what it felt like. So reflecting on their learning, which is another important point of the 8 Ways framework. The 8 Ways framework is a great tool to implement into your class. As I said earlier, it can be integrated into all of the learning areas in many different ways. By also having a constructivist approach when implementing the framework, students' learning will be boosted. Learning by doing is a vital point of constructivism as well as the 8 Ways framework. Students learn by doing within many of the pedagogies within the framework. For example, non-verbal embraces hands-on experiences. Symbols and images use hands-on experiences through flashcards and various learning games. Interacting socially is also an integral part of learning. Story sharing embraces social interaction as a vital part to students' cognitive development. This pedagogy can be implemented through the use of yarning circles, group story sharing, and think, pair, share activities. Both constructivism and the 8 Ways framework provide encouragement for students to develop the ability to understand information themselves as well as when they work collaboratively. The 8 Ways framework and the humanist approach communicate the importance of the reduction of whole class work activities and encourages teachers to provide students with smaller group work and collaborative strategies, strongly emphasising the importance of the teacher having the role of the helper rather than the instructor. By having a stronger, smarter approach when implementing the 8 Ways framework, teachers will gain a responsibility for change, embracing a strengths-based approach. This will also make the teacher feel empowered and motivated to influence students' learning. The 8 Ways framework will help you as a teacher provide engaging lessons, making your students excited to learn new things. You may also find the behaviour will improve if you implement some of the strategies that were provided to you today. I'd like to thank you all for taking some time out of your day to come along to this professional development. I really hope that you'll take something away from you and implement some of the strategies into your classroom. Thank you.